You know why a professional player can read you even when you're wearing sunglasses? Even when you're trying to stay completely still? The answer is so small, so fast, that it goes unnoticed by most people. They are microtells, and they are costing you millions. Microtells are facial movements that last between 1/25th and 1/15th of a second, so fast that your conscious brain can't even process them. But a trained professional, they see it, and they profit from it. For over 40 years, psychologist Paul Ekman researched facial expressions. He discovered that there are 43 different facial muscles, and each can contract in specific ways. More importantly, when you try to hide an emotion, these muscles leak the truth before you can control them. This is involuntary. You can't stop it. Ekman found that all 7 universal emotions leave specific marks on the face: disgust, anger, fear, sadness, happiness, contempt, surprise. Each has a unique muscular signature, and when you're in a big hand, one of these emotions will leak through a microtell. Further research with over 47,000 observations shows that poker pros identify microtells with 71% accuracy. That means 71% of the time, they know the quality of your hand just by seeing your face for a fraction of a second. Let that sink in. 71%. There's a specific microtell that destroys amateurs, the contraction of the muscle around the eyes. This muscle is called the orbicularis oculi. When you have a strong hand, genuinely strong, this muscle involuntarily contracts, creating small wrinkles around your eye. But here's the fascinating detail. When you try to look strong with a weak hand, every other muscle in your face works to create a fake smile, except one. The orbicularis oculi does not contract, because a fake smile doesn't activate this muscle. Professionals call this the Duchenne smile versus fake smile. Researchers found that only 10% of the population can fake a complete Duchenne smile. The other 90%? They're open books. So when you're bluffing and trying to look confident, your whole face smiles. But not your eyes. A pro sees that in 0.3 seconds and knows you're lying. There's another, even more devastating microtell: pupil dilation. Did you know your pupils dilate when you see something you like? It's involuntary. We control our eyes, but our pupils, they betray us. Studies show that when a player looks at their cards and has a premium hand, their pupils dilate by an average of 0.4 millimeters. It's tiny, invisible to the untrained eye. But professionals who have studied this can see it. And here's the real horror. Your pupils also dilate when you're scared. When you have a weak hand in a dangerous spot, your pupils dilate out of fear. A pro can't differentiate between happy dilation and terror dilation just by seeing the pupils, but they can observe the entire pattern. If the pupils dilate and the muscle around the eyes contracts, it's strength. If the pupils dilate and the jaw muscle tenses, it's fear. A complete, integrated, devastating pattern. Now for the microtell that specifically costs millions, the contraction of the zygomaticus major muscle. This is the muscle that controls your smile. When you're genuinely happy with a situation, this muscle contracts. But when you're faking confidence, you try to completely control your face. You want to look neutral as hard as you can. But there's a problem. You've created a tension in your face that is detectable. Professionals observe, is your face slightly tense? You're controlling muscles. Is your face relaxed? You're genuine. Controlled tension equals a lie in 83% of cases. A player who is nervous about a bluff will create this tension without even realizing it. They'll spend 2.8 seconds with a completely still face, waiting for your reaction. A pro sees this and thinks, bluff. There's a microtell that specifically affects your sympathetic nervous system. When you're under stress or intense emotion, your sweat glands activate. This causes a slight change in the shine of your face. You become slightly shinier. Research shows that after 2.1 seconds of intense emotional stress, there's a detectable change in your skin's reflectance. It's invisible in daily life, But under the lighting of a poker table with a trained pro watching, it's clear. When you have a monster hand, you're relaxed. No extra shine. When you're bluffing in an all-in situation, your skin is literally glowing with sweat. A pro sees that and folds. Now for the most dangerous micro-tell of all, the eyebrow twitch. There are two eyebrow twitches. One means concentration, the other means discomfort. Concentration. Eyebrows slightly contract together, creating a small line between them. You are focused. This means emotional strength. Discomfort. Eyebrows slightly raise. Your eyes open a little wider. This means uncertainty. This means weakness. A professional observes, did you contract your eyebrows, concentration, or raise them, discomfort? In 0.15 of a second, he knows if you're comfortable or scared. And here's the real kicker. You can't control this. When you try not to show discomfort, you force your expression. And forcing it creates another micro-tell, rigidity. There's a complete system for reading micro-tells that pros use. It's called FACS, Facial Action Coding System. It's a map of 43 different facial muscle movements. Each movement has a code. AU1 is the inner brow raiser. AU5 is the upper lid raiser. AU12 is the lip corner puller. Pros don't memorize the entire FACS, but they memorize the 8 to 12 movements that occur in poker situations. So when you're in a hand, your face is literally being decoded in real time. You make a move. Your face activates a sequence of muscle movements. A pro observes AU1, inner brow moves up, followed by AU4, brow lowers. He knows that means fear followed by anger. You're nervous and frustrated. You're bluffing. Here's the detail that saves some players. Micro-tells vary by person. Your specific micro-tell when you're bluffing might be different from another player's. But there are universalities. Ekman's research showed that certain emotions cause the same muscle movements in 96% of people. When you see a micro-tell of contempt, it's contempt 96% of the time, regardless of who's sitting across from you. So pros have two systems. The universal system. When I see AU12 with AU7, it's contempt, which means strength. And the individual system. When this guy does a quick AU2, he's bluffing. They integrate both, and you are exposed. Here's the worst part. Most players try to hide micro-tells. And you know what happens? When you consciously try to control your face, you create more tells. Because now you're using voluntary muscles to fight involuntary muscles. The tension of that conflict is visible. You look unnatural. You look fake. And that is an even bigger tell. Professionals make money because they understand one truth. Micro-tells are involuntary. You can't avoid them. They will leak. The only way to stop it is to not be in an emotional conflict. If you are genuinely confident with a hand, your face is relaxed. No conflict, no tell. But if you're trying to look confident when you're scared, conflict, tell, loss. When you understand micro-tells, when you know exactly what the 43 muscles are and how they move, you can read anyone. Sunglasses? Doesn't matter. You can see the contractions of the muscles around the eyes. A totally still face? You can see the shine on the skin. Poker face? You can see the involuntary tension. Pros know this. That's why they win consistently. Not because their cards are better. Because their micro-tells are less frequent. Because they understand the system. When you go back to the table understanding that micro-tells are the real game, you change. You stop trying to have a poker face. You stop trying to hide. You simply don't get into emotional conflict. You don't bluff. You don't get frustrated. You become neutral. And when you are genuinely neutral, no tell leaks. If you want to master micro-tells, if you're ready to discover how pros really make money by reading your face, there's one place you need to be. Subscribe to the Mind of Grinder channel on YouTube. This isn't just another poker channel. We are obsessed with the science of reading people, with facts, with micro-expressions, with the neuroscience behind how emotions leak. When you subscribe, you get access to detailed analyses of real microtells from pro players, frame-by-frame breakdowns of facial expressions in high-stakes situations, and complete protocols to train your brain to recognize these invisible movements. But what really matters is that you join a community that understands that poker is 90% psychology. That understands your face is either your greatest asset or your biggest enemy. That is building not just poker careers, but complete mastery of behavioral reading. So right now, click that subscribe button. Turn on notifications so you never miss our content on microtells, advanced facial expressions, and behavioral decoding. Join thousands of players who have already started to see what the pros see. Because when you can read microtells, when you can see emotions before people can control them, you're no longer an amateur. You become a legend. Mind of Grinder, where microtells become your superpower.